naririnig niyo ba ako? Meron bang kumusta mga brother? Abi, kumusta? Rinig mo ba ako? Jan, rinig ba ako dyan? Dinig niyo ako hindi? Ronald, rinig mo ako? Okay, wala bang ibang ingay? Yun o, ang dami niyo na. Bilis ah. Okay, hintay pa tayong konti ha para makaabot itong mga friends natin gusto ring manood. Ang title ng ating live na yan ay yung nangyari sa Mega Mall. Yun yung pag-uusapan natin kasi ang gulo na eh. Diba? Hindi ko na maintindihan kung paano sasagutin yung mga nagtatanong ng makakalaya na ba siya? Makakalaya na ba yung tao niya? O dahil hindi siya inaresto ng mga polis? Or ano bang nangyayari sa kanya? Ito si Mr. San Vicente, tama? San Vicente. Uy, ang dami na. Oh, si may static pero mahina lang. I think that's the electric fan. Ang init-init ngayon eh. Pero we will do our best to be heard. Yung may nauungol, alam na natin kung ano yan, Philip, ikaw. Kailangan pa masabihin niya. Atin-atin na lang sana yan eh, no? Ayos ka. Oh, habang nandito tayo at naghihintay sa mga kasama nating makahabol sa ating live, mag-like and share muna siguro tayo, no? Ha? Like and share muna tayo para maganda. Okay. Si Attorney Trixie, andun sa may dinner yata sila ngayon doon kaya with Attorney Darwin. Siya, saucy yung kinakainan nila. Steak yata yun. Ako, nagtatrabaho. Mukhang seryoso na to, no? Na ako na muna yung magla-live dito at saka si JP. Kasi wala na yata talagang pag-asa na guluhin natin si Attorney Trixie at mag-show pa dito sa ating page. Yeah. Done sharing. Thank you. Thank you for sharing tonight. Okay, anyway, let's talk about what happened. Napanood ba nating lahat yung video, yung footage ng nangyari sa Mega Mall? Sinong hindi nakapanood nun? Hello, Adelina from Florida. Sino ang hindi nakapanood ng footage? Manood ka muna. Alright. Dami 945. Ang bilis nung dumami Bilisan natin. Okay, anyway. What do we talk about tonight? We will talk about what happened at Mega Mall. There is this SUV, medyo matraffic yun, paliko, sa ano daw yata yun sa Julia Vargas, no? Nangyari sa may kanto doon, sa Mega Mall, I suppose. Tapos, nakikita doon sa video na parang dahan-dahan, hindi masyadong mabilis yung sasakyan, parang papaliko ng konti, no? Tapos, parang biglang lumapit yung guard, parang tinuturo niya, di ba? Is it right? Ano ba yung tingin niyo doon? Bigla niya tinuro yung sasakyan at lumapit siya. Is that it? Pareho ba tayo ng perception ng nangyari? Uy, may gabi di Apol. Yan. Tapos lumapit siya. Tapos imbis na tumigil yung SUV, hindi pa rin siya huminto. At tinamaan niya yung guard. Diba? Tinamaan niya yung guard. At saka ito yung si guard parang natumba. Okay? I don't know kung tatamaan ako ng sasakyan na ganun kabagal, na alam ko naman na umaandar siya papunta sa akin and lumapit ako, tatamaan kaya ako, hihiga kaya ako ng ganun, at saka hihiga kaya ako sa harap ng sasakyan. Parang ako, hindi ako mawawalan ng, ako I'm talking about myself. Hindi ako mawawala ng presence of mind to kung matutumba ma ako, tutumba ako palikod o papalayo doon sa gulong. 'Di ba? What do you think? But this is what happened. Tinamaan siya, humiga siya doon sa harap. Okay? Sa harap ng sasakyan. So hindi ko naman sinasabing negligent siya dahil maaring malakas nga yung pagkatama sa kanya, or sa tingin ko kasi hindi masyadong malakas. Hello, may gabi. Masyadong malakas. Pero anyway, that's what happened. Humiga siya, nahiga siya doon. No? And then, yung sasakyan, medyo matras ng konti, kumabig sa kanan, tapos umandar. Di ba? Na sagasaan, nadaganan talaga yung mama. And nung una kong tingin, I thought, this guy is dead. Baka parang sa ulo tumama yung gulong or something like that. Kasi, napakalapit ng ulo niya din. But it turns out, na mukhang dito yata sa torso. No? Sa torso. Torso ng tao dito from the neck. Between the neck and the groin, that's the torso. Diyan yata siya tinamaan at mabuti, isang gulong lang sa harap ang nakatama sa kanya. Yung gulong sa likod na mas mabigat, hindi na gumulong sa kanya. No? So, okay, ano kayong possibility dito? Kasi, ako, hindi ako tutumba talaga. Kahit na tinamaan ako sa tuhod o I would still have that presence of mind to fall away from the street. Di ba? I will have that presence of mind to fall away from the gulong of the SUV. Di ba? I wouldn't let it worsen the situation. Natumba na ako dito, hindi naman ako nawala ng malay, I still have my head, buo pa rin. So, maaring iilag ako ng ganyan. So, posible na mukhang posible, hindi ko sinasabing ito yung nangyari, pero posible, drumama ng konti. Do you know what I'm saying? Na parang sinubukan niyang umistyle di ba? This is my perception. I'm not saying this is what happened. This is my post-game analysis of the whole thing. Parang sinubukan niyang umistyle, okay? Baka makakuha ng compensation or settlement. Sa kasamaang palad, dahil nervyoso pa rin yung driver, imbis na marato, minto, tapos sorry doon, therefore mapapabayad niya ng malaking pera. Umilag, okay, kumabag sa kaliwa or kumabig muna sa kanan, tapos kumabig pa kaliwa. Nasagasaan tuloy siya. I mean, kung nag-drama siya, after kumabig itong driver, hindi na drama to. Talagang totoo na to. Nayari na siya talaga. Nayari na siya talaga. If the beginning of the entire incident was kind of drama, okay, it's kind of drama, what happened after that wasn't drama anymore. It was just real freaky kind of accident. And the thing about that is posibleng nagsimula yung buong incident sa drama. Okay? Sa drama. Posible lang. That's not what I'm saying na nangyari. Pero posible lang. So, palagay natin na nagdrama siya. Drama ba yan ba hanggang sa simula, hanggang sa dulo, nung iniwan na siya ng sasakyan? I don't think so. Nung natumba siya, yung unang tumba niya, pwedeng drama yon. Okay? Pwedeng drama yon para magka-PRR. Whatever, di ba? But after that, nung umilag yung sasakyan, ay yung kumabig yung sasakyan, and then tumuloy na, nasagasaan na siya, hindi na drama yan. That was a real intentional decision of the driver to do a series of things, okay, that unfortunately for the security guard, backfired on him, di ba? Backfired on him. So tumakbo siya, and that is true. That part is true. Tumakbo talaga siya after he committed the criminal part of the entire story. He ran away. Okay. So himayin natin yan. Himayin natin yan. Kung i-assume natin na drama yung simula, okay, i-assume natin na drama yung simula, nabangga siya, mahina lang, natumba siya, yung driver minto, bumaba, nag-sorry, sorry, ganito, ganyan, hinihingian siya ng pera, sa tingin ko may laban siya, yung driver. Ay, Brad, hindi ka naman ganun ka, nakatayo ka pa ngayon, nakakausap pa kita. Di ba? So, hindi pa masyadong seryoso sana yung kanyang hinaharap na legal situation. Di ba? But after, yun nga, hindi siya bumaba. Imbis na huminto siya, okay, at bumaba at i-check doon sa harap kung anong nangyari sa kanyang tinamaan, nagtuloy-tuloy siya. He did a series of actions that that unfortunately made him commit a crime. Okay? Yung sa simula, kaya kong tanggapin na aksidente. Okay? Kahit na nagdrama yung guard, aksidente pa rin naman kasi yung tinamaan siya. Aksidente pa rin yan. Hindi natin masasabing state of mind ng mga tao doon kasi no one can really know the state of mind of the person. So sila lang nakakaalam niya. But from the outside, looking in, kumarang si guard, ayaw huminto yung sasakyan, kumarang siya, expecting na tatamaan ako nito talaga. Tatamaan ako nito. Alam mo natatamaan ka kung hindi huminto yung sasakyan. Di ba? It was not that fast. They were stopping at the corner. Di ba? It was not like may momentum na bilis na takbo na accelerated yung takbo. Hindi eh. Hinto sila eh. Nakahinto yung car na nauna doon sa kotse. So, drumama siya, drumama. Imbes na umepekto yung drama niya, sa Bisaya pa imbes musaler. Imbes musaler yung drama niya, nakaletse-letse ang buhay niya. Nasagasaan siya. Tapos nung tinakbuhan pa siya, okay, meron tayong obligasyon sa batas. Sa civil code, meron tayong obligation na pagka naka-aksidente tayo, okay, we have to stop and check on our victim. If there is a victim or not. If there is a victim, we have to help the victim. Okay? And doing that would mitigate the damage that you have done. Kasi imbes na mamatayan, nakuha mo, natulungan mo siya, yung parusa sa'yo at yung galit sa'yo ng biktima ay medyo may ibsa ng konti. And the law recognizes that. The law recognizes that. So, meron tayong obligasyon na kung meron tayong na-disgrasya, okay, accident, hindi sinasadya. Pwede namang mangyari yun eh. Accident, hindi sinasadya. Pwede namang bumaba tayo, tingnan natin kung may biktima at kung may biktima na nasaktan, tulungan natin. Huwag natin iiwanan. That is the first problem there. Okay? Dahil nung nakabangga siya, kung ako yung driver, I would feel that someone was hit. I would feel it. I will know it. I will know it na meron akong natamaan. So, my obligation under the law is to stop, to get off the car, check on the front part of the car kung meron biktima doon. Di ba? May biktima doon. Kung may biktima doon, tulungan ko. Kung hindi ko kayang tumulong, tatawag ako ng tao na makakatulong sa kanya. Okay? That is the first violation of law there. That is the first violation of law. Hindi siya huminto, hindi siya bumaba. Pagkos ay kumabig siya sa kanan at tumuloy siyang konti, tapos nagtuloy-tuloy na siya. That is the second crime. That is the second crime. Okay? That's the second crime. And what crime is that? Dalawang uri ng crime sa vehicular accidents that involve another person or another property. Yung isang crime ay tinatawag na reckless imprudence. Reckless imprudence, ang ibig sabihin niyan, hindi mo in-exercise yung pag-iingat na dapat ay in-expect sa'yo sa paggamit ng iyong sasakyan, pagmamaneho nitong sasakyan. Okay? So, the crime there is reckless imprudence. If it results in a homicide, namatay yung security guard, it will be reckless imprudence resulting in homicide. Kung physical injuries lang ay hindi namatay yung si kuya, then it depends. Pwedeng reckless imprudence resulting in serious physical injuries kung seryoso, or less serious physical injuries kung medyo hindi masyadong seryoso, or reckless imprudence resulting in physical injuries na mild lang, di ba? Parang little lang, medyo nasagasaan yung kuko, ganyan, umitim, ganyan. No? That's not very serious. But the crime there is not homicide, kung namatay. The crime is not physical injuries. The crime is not serious physical injuries or less serious physical injuries. The crime there is reckless imprudence. You are careless. You did not exercise the proper diligence of a good father of a family. I think in this case, because of the situation, kasi pag nagmamaneho tayo ng kotse, ang ini-expect sa atin ng batas na pag-iingat ay extraordinary. Kasi delikado nga naman kung hindi tayo mag-iingat na pagmamaneho. Kaya tayo binigyan ng license, ang requirement din is that you will have to exercise extraordinary diligence. Extraordinary diligence. Extraordinary diligence is not is a technical term. Hindi ito yung hindi naman kami pwedeng mag-exercise ng extraordinary diligence because we are ordinary people. Hindi yun ganun. Ang in-expect ng batas dyan dobling ingat. Ang ordinary diligence, kasi dalawa yan, ordinary and extraordinary. Ang ordinary diligence, ibig sabihin nun yung in-exercise lang ng regular person, okay, like anybody else, in going about his day in exercising his rights and doing his obligations, that he is careful not to hurt someone, okay? But hindi yun masyadong seryosong expectation of diligence. Yung pagmamaneho ay kailangan extraordinary diligence. Talagang mag-iingat ka. I mean, hindi ka pwedeng yung palamya-lamya lang dyan na antok ka patuloy pa rin. Okay? You have to be extraordinarily diligent because pag may tinamaan ka ng sasakyan mo at kamatayan, there is so much damage to inflict on another human being, and that's bad. Diba? It's bad. Okay, so that's the first crime. The first crime, and the other crime is intentional. Okay, intentional. Yung isa kasi hindi sinasadya, 'di ba? Careless ka. Reckless imprudence, carelessness, lack of diligence. The other side of that, kasi pwede mo rin gawin niya, sinadya mo. Nakita mo yung tao, nabangga mo, siguro yung unang pagbangga mo hindi mo sinasadya dahil medyo banong-bano ang maneho. Pero nung nakita mo na nawala yung tao, humiga, malamang ganyan, you are expected by the law to think, what happened to this guy? Okay? And if he felt, he should have felt na andun sa harap ng kotse niya yung tao. Di ba? So, if you did not think that, you already violated that expectation of diligence under the law. So, you already missed complying with that requirement. And you already have a problem with the LTO, yung nagbigay sa'yo ng lisensya, because here, careless ka na. Okay? Pero kung talagang malisyoso kang tao and imbes na careless ka lang, sinadya mo, ito kalaban ko tong guard na to ninakaw yung brief ko nung isang araw, tapos pinagyabang niya pa, ganyan, sa girlfriend ko, ninakaw niya yung brief ko, ganyan. So, galit ka. Kita mo yung sagsaan ko to. Right? That is intentional, and it's the same events that happen, but depende sa intention ng driver, it could have been carelessness or actual malicious hurting of another person using a car. That is now a different That is now a different route in going about the investigation and uh, and prosecution for justice, di ba? But in this case, hindi pa malaman ng mga pulis kung ano yung file nila. Hindi pa nila alam kung was it an intentional hurting of another person. Kung intentional, nandyan din yung kung namatay, it's a homicide, or maaari kung sinadya mo talaga, it's probably going to be a murder. A murder and a homicide are the same thing because they involve the death of a human being. Ang pinagkaiba lang ng murder sa homicide is merong special requirements ang batas o merong special, how do you call it, circumstance na magiging murder ang homicide, ang isang ordinary killing of another person will become murder depende sa mga circumstance na present in the incident. Kung sinadya mo, pinag-isipan matagal, that's evident premeditation. Nag-premeditate tayo, sabihin, pinagplanuhan mo to ng matagal, natuloy-tuloy sa isip mo kung paano mo i-execute itong gagawin mo. That's evident premeditation, and that's just among those circumstances that would make a homicide a murder and therefore punished with a higher penalty. Kung hindi naman namatay, there's just physical injuries. Now, physical injuries, again, we already said, can be pwede siyang i-commit by way of negligence, meaning carelessness, reckless imprudence, or intentional and malicious, which means intentional physical injuries. So, talagang sinadya mo siyang saktan. Alright? So kung seryoso yan, then that's serious physical injuries. If that's not so serious, then it's less serious physical injuries. If it's regular, nangitim na yung uko mo kasi nasagasaan niya, that's just simple physical injuries. Okay. But in this case, let's say na negligence lang yun. Okay? If there was negligence dahil doon sa driver, yung unang pagkabangga niya doon na tinamaan sa tuhod, maaring forgivable yun. Maaring forgivable. Okay? Nervous niya, mabagal yung takbo, so pwedeng walang kaso na mag-survive. Negligence yun. But after that, nung hindi siya bumaba, under his obligation, under the law, na pag naka-aksidente ka, bababa ka, tutulungan. Not always bababa kasi pwedeng umakyat dahil yung na-aksidente mo nasa taas, sa baril mo, ganyan, aksidente. Akyat ka. But in this case, sa kotse, bababa ka ng kotse, hanapin mo ngayon yung tingin mo na bangga mo at tutulungan mo. Hindi, you will not abandon a person that you hit with your motor vehicle. You have to stop. He did not do that. So the first part was negligence, not forgivable. But when he started to not comply with his obligation to help the victim, he was already doing something wrong. He was already doing something intentionally. Diba? He was already doing something intentionally. So hindi natin kasi pwedeng tingnan yung isang insidente na isang nature lang hanggang tuloy-tuloy. Kasi maaaring sa simula it was negligence, and then at a certain period it stops and turns into a different kind of action, of illegal action. It from negligence it becomes an actual intentional commission of really bad stuff. Okay, it's really bad stuff. All right. So sumipat siya. There is that another illegal thing to do is to run away from the authorities. Once the authorities find out that you did a crime or an illegal act, okay, tumakbo ka, and when you find out that they were actually looking for you, you did not surrender because you also have the obligation to surrender. Kung talagang totoong hindi mo sinasadya yan, surrender ka. Kahit na sinadya mo, surrender ka pa rin because that is the command of the law. That you do not run away from your trespasses, di ba? But surrender. He did not do that. He waited for how many days? I think a week. Maraming marami nang nasabi ang pulis. Hinanap siya ng LTO. The LTO found out na ganito yung apelido nito, ganito ganyan. So the LTO also issued a threat na, sige, hindi na namin nire-renew yung ano, yung lisensya. Okay, and then si PNP chief pa yan, si Danao, said, siguro kung adik ka, siguro kaya ka nagtatago dahil adik ka, takot kang gumulo lalo itong buhay mo. Pero kung hindi ka naman adik, pwede mo pang maayos to. 10 days. I stand corrected, 10 days. They wait for the case to lapse. Okay, we will talk about that. What is lapse? They waited to lapse. Let's talk about that later in a bit. So he did not surrender. But then, after 10 days, sumurrender sila. Okay, sumurrender sila. That surrender is still going to be counted in his favor, because voluntary surrender, ibig sabihin yung hindi ka nahuli ng police but sumurrender ka, you voluntarily submitted to the jurisdiction of the police, will be considered as a mitigating circumstance. Mapapabawas yung uri ng krimen later on or yung penalty na ibibigay sa'yo. Okay, so counted yan para sa kanya kahit na matagal siyang nag-surrender. Counted yon. Okay. Ngayon, ano kaya ang ikakaso dyan? Ano kaya ang ikakaso sa kanya? Marami. Anong nasa law school kami, ang question ng mga professor namin is iyon, isang storya. Kumawin. Tapos, may anak pala ito si security guard na buntis. Nanganak. Sobrang nervous ng asawa, namatay yung anak. Okay, so nalungkot doon sa pagkamatay ng anak, namatay na rin yung asawa. Okay, so isang ganyan yung question ng professor. And then if the professor will ask the students in an exam to find any and all crimes that you can find in that story and explain why it's a crime and what will you do in that case. So, ganyan ang exam namin sa UP. So ngayon, titignan mo itong batas, this is a good exercise. Looking at it, makikita mo na ganito, pwedeng negligence pa to. Hindi ko pa to pwedeng sabihin intentional. So ang ipa-file ko lang dito ay reckless imprudence resulting in either homicide kung namatay or physical injuries. Yung asawa na ninervyos, ganyan, meron ba akong kinalaman doon sa ginawa ng pagbangga ko doon sa tao? So the law student will say everything and justify his answer. Pero in this case, ang masasabi natin, this is probably a separable crime, which is the reckless imprudence ng unang pagkabangga niya. Yung unang pagkabangga niya. But after that, when he failed to stop and assist the victim, that's already a violation. It's already punishable. Yung physical injuries, it would range from 6 months to 3 years onwards, like 4 years yung serious physical injuries to up to like 6 years or 10 years. Yung ating penalty kasi dito is not determinate. In other words, hindi ito 1 year lang yan talaga. Hindi. It depends. It's kind of range from 1 year and 1 day to ganito, ganyan. Sinadya yan para for so many reasons. Pero one of the more understandable reasons is that depende yan sa behavior ng nakakulong later. Kung magtino siya sa kulungan, pwedeng maawa ang gobyerno sa kanya at palabasin siya ng maaga. Okay? Ganyan. Anyway, so in regular, ordinary, day-to-day parlance, language, what was it? Well, to me, it was just a hit and run. A hit and run. Okay? It was a hit and run. It is a terrible, terrible thing to do. Okay, this guy did a really, really bad thing. He did a really, really bad thing. But that does not describe the entire incident under the law as complete. Hindi yun siya kompleto. The law does not stop with what you did was terrible and therefore we will send you to jail. Because that is not the requirement of the Constitution in prosecution of crimes. Sa prosecution of crimes, kailangan specific na action ang i-accuse mo sa kanya na violation, which violation is stated, defined by law, and punished by law. So, bawat action na nangyari doon will only be eligible for prosecution. Pwede lang siyang kasuhan, pwede lang siya maging kriminal na kaso kapag merong batas na nagsasabing itong aksyon na to ay krimen yan. At ito yung kanyang penalty. That's the requirement. If there is something that you did, even if it's really so terrible, but it is not defined and punished by law, hindi ka pwede kasuhan doon. But in this case, meron kasing na-define na ang batas kung ano yung maaring i-interpret yung mga events doon sa incident. Meron nang nakaano dyan na kung hindi niya sinasadya, reckless imprudence. That's the definition. The penalty is from 3 months to 6 months or 3 months to 1 year and blah, blah, blah. So, yan. So, may penalty. So, pasok ngayon. Pwede siyang kasuhan doon. Yun naman pagsagasa niya. Kung hindi niya sinadya yun, edi reckless imprudence pa rin. Diba? Meron din penalty for that. So, pwede siyang kasuhan doon. Kung sinadya naman niya yun, mapuprove naman na sinadya niya, na may evident premeditation, pinagplanuhan niya na last week pa to, na itong card na to, magkain mo talaga sa July of Arca Street. Di kasuhan siya ngayon ng intentional physical injuries or homicide, kung sinadya niya, or even murder. Okay? So now, let's go to the surrender. Hindi muna. Let's go to arrest. Arrest. Okay. What happened? When somebody does a violation of law, of penal laws, therefore committed a crime, this person needs to be made to answer for his crime. Kailangan siyang panagutin sa kanyang karumaldumal na gawain. Paano yung gagawin? Ayan ay gagawin sa pamamagitan ng pag-exercise o pagkuha sa kanya and bring him to the jurisdiction of the punishing authority. Sino yung punishing authority? Yung ating legislature. The punishing authority is the legislature. Sila ang gumawa ng batas, sila ang gumawa ng penalties, sila ang magpapunish sa atin. Okay? But before we get punished, we have to go through due process. Kasi that's the requirement of the Constitution. Okay? No one shall be deprived of his life, liberty, or property without due process of law. That is in the Constitution. So, the punishing authority is the Congress and the Senate, the legislature. The adjudicating authority is the court. And the implementing authority is the executive, presidente, and all his line agencies. So, anong dapat ang gawin doon? Para madala itong tao na to the jurisdiction of the punishing authority, ay dadalhin siya dapat sa adjudicating authority, yung korte, sa jurisdiction ngayon ng korte, dadalhin siya doon para ngayon malilitis na siya that he will undergo trial and therefore due process, mabigyan siya ng due process. Paano gawin yan? Okay, paano gawin yan? Madala ang isang tao na nag-commit ng crime to the jurisdiction of the court which adjudicates what he did and makes him available for punishment by the legislature. That is done by arresting this person. That is done by a body or a people or an agency that is aside from this person. Kung ako yung nag-commit ng crime, arrest is made by a person other than me. Okay? That is, will bring me to the authority of the court. Pwede rin naman kasing gawin niya ng ako ang magbibigay ng sarili ko doon sa authority ng korte. And that is called surrender. That is called the voluntary surrender. But the purpose of those two are the same. To make available this person, his body, okay? To make him available for exercise of jurisdiction by the court in order for the court to start the due process rolling for him before he gets punished. Okay. So, kailangan siyang arestuhin or sumurrender. kahit ano naman ng kahit ano naman ng piliin niya doon, hindi siya sumurrender, hindi siya voluntary na surrender, nagpahuli siya, naghintay siya ng matagal hanggang sa nagkaroon ng warrant na hulihin siya, pareho lang ang epekto nun. Makukulong siya. Kung seryoso yung kaso, makukulong siya. In this case, it's kind of serious. Makukulong na ito. Kung surrender siya, ikukulong yan. Kung hindi siya sumurrender, bagkus inaresto siya, ay ikukulong din yan. Okay? Dito sa storya natin ito, sumurrender siya. Kinulong mo siya? Anong tanong? Anong tanong? Teka, anong tanong mo, Ace Ramos? Ulitin mo nga. Ulitin mo yung tanong mo. What is it? Where is it? Let's answer that. Ace Ramos, ulitin mo yung question mo, brother. Yun na. Sige, mag-iyosin mo na ako. Kung wala pa sa Ace Ramos, wala ka dyan. Mag-iyosin mo na ako. Ha? Okay, nandun na tayo sa na-commit niya, tumakbo siya. And there are two ways of bringing him to the jurisdiction of the adjudicating body, which is the court. Okay? For him to stand trial. There are two ways of doing that. One is voluntary surrender, and the second one is by arrest. Di ba tayo nag-uusap ng warrantless or warranted arrest? Arrest lang muna. Arrest lang muna. Is, ano yung tanong mo? Sabi kasi, saan na makita ko raw? Mahanapin nyo ba ako dito? Ang dami na nito. O sige, habang ginagawa natin yan, ba't magpumati-pati na rin tayo? Si Cliff. Kumusta, Cliff? Si Miracle. Maribel, Hidaka, hello. Ace, ano yung sagot mo? Pwede ba sa case nila ang amicable settlement? Alright, yan yung tanong mo, Ace. Okay, pwede yan, pwede. Everything in the penal code, okay, every crime that is listed in our revised penal code is susceptible to amicable settlement. In other words, hi, I'm Marjorie from Davao. Ako rin taga-Tagum ako. Pwede yan. Sa lahat ng crimes, pwede yung amicable settlement. But it may not have the same effects to everyone and every crime and every person. Okay? Bawal ba mag-aresto ang police sa exclusive village? Hindi ko bawal yan. Because village, the land that the village is occupying is owned by the state. It is not owned by people and whoever. Diba? That state owns those things. Okay? Nobody owns it against the state. Shout out kay Marilyn. Lumabas na po ata yung tatanong, unfair yan. Ikaw, nauna ka bang yung mga giyosi sa akin? Mayos ka. Hello, PF Rosa Alanes. O yan, nabati na kita. Alright, so amicable settlement muna tayo bago, sige, arrest muna tayo. Arrest. May dalawang paraan na paggawa ng arrest. One is a warrantless arrest and the other one is a warranted arrest. May warrant. Unahin natin yung warranted arrest. Warranted arrest can only be done by virtue of a warrant issued by a court, issued by a judge. From a court of jurisdiction in this country, the Pilipinas, saan nangyari yun? Nag-apply yung mga police doon na nag-imbestiga. Okay, this is a different case. This is not part of the case that's already filed against this guy. Okay, this case na ipa-file ng mga police is most of the time unknown yan. Hindi alam yan ng huhulihin. Hindi alam yan ng akusado. Yet, hindi pa niya alam yan. Kumbaga, wala pang kaalam-alam, pero meron na pala nagkasa sa'yo doon to get a warrant. Okay? But the requirement of the law is that in order for a warrant to issue, dapat may probable cause. Okay? Probable cause. At ang probable cause ay makakamit daw yan ng isang korte o isang judge by searching by asking searching questions on those police na nag-a-apply kung meron ba silang personal knowledge about the things that happen as would establish probable cause. Okay? Probable cause means there is a reasonable belief, there is a reasonable justification or basis to believe for a regular human being na tayo, hindi masyadong awesome, hindi masyadong genius, ganyan, regular lang na mamamayang Pilipino. For that kind of guy, that very simple guy, to believe that a crime was committed by this dude or this girl, and therefore he should stand trial. Okay? So, kailangan i-establish yan ng judge. Kung dito sa may warranted arrest, kailangan malaman niya ng judge personally from the people who are applying for the warrant, yung mga police, usually yan, sila yung nag-surveillance. By asking the policeman, paano nangyari to, saan to, sino ba tong identity ng tong taong to, ganyan, because those are very important things. Kailangan na ma-individualize mo yung taong uhulihin mo, otherwise you cannot differentiate it from any other dude. That is not specific enough, then hindi may issue yung warrant yan. Okay. Pero kung sabihin natin na, okay, talagang totoong nag-research itong mga police, nag-imbestiga, nalaman nila saan nakatira to, anong itsura nito, anong sex nito, anong gender nito, ilan ba ang baril nito, kung kailangan malaman yan. At sinabi sa judge, ang judge mo sasabihin, mukhang alam nga nila to. At kung meron ng ginawang krimen to, so sige, he will issue a warrant. Okay, so susulatin yan ng judge, susulat itatype yan siguro. Pwede rin nakasulat ng kamay. Sabihin, you go out there and arrest this guy and bring him to this court. Okay? You report once you either arrested this guy or did not arrest this guy for a reason. Like, he was not there. That is one reason. So, yan yung order ng warrant. So, simple yung nasabing na-arresto, nahuli nila doon, dadalhin nila yan doon sa korte, dadalhin na. Well, ideally, yan yung mangyayari doon sa order sa korte. Catch this guy, bring this guy to me. But, sa totoong buhay, hindi yan ganun kadali. Catch this guy, sige, buntahan mo doon sa bahay. It's not that easy because sometimes mamaril yung guy na yan, di ba? Lumalaban ng ganyan, di ba? Nanlaban, ganyan. O di kaya nagtago, o di kaya nanakbo. So, hindi yan ganun kadali. Mahirap. It's not that easy kahit na meron pang warrant. Nanakbo, nanlaban, ganyan. Yung mga pulis pa ngayon ang namatay, ganyan. Medyo magulo, di ba? Hindi ko kadali, ganun kadali yan ma-aresto. Ba't sabihin natin na-aresto? Pinunta sa bahay, nagpakilala, itong warrant, mga ganyan-ganyan. May kasama kaming barangay na required ng batas, kasama kaming media, mga tanod, ganyan. Witness dito, inaresto namin. Inaresto. Kasama din sa right of arrest. Okay, is the right to search. Under the warrant, ang sinasabi niyan, pag hinuli mo yung isang tao, you can do a search incident to a lawful arrest. So, insidente ng tamang paghuli, ay pwede ka mag-search sa paligid niya, yung kanyang kaya niyang maabot. Kasi pwedeng mag-abot ng baril yan doon habang na-arresto siya, pinagpabaril niya naman itong mga nahuli sa kanya, namatay na naman, di ba? So, pwede daw i-search ng mga polis yan. Paligid. Okay. Maraming limits din dyan. Parameters ng Supreme Court at saka ng Constitution. Hindi na lang pwede kayo mag-search ng buong bahay ng ibang kwarto, ganyan. Hindi. Yun ang lugar na nakokontrol ng usado na yung huli. Okay, but let's not go into that. Nahuli na siya. Anong gagawin? Sabi ng korte, bring that guy to me. Bring that guy to me. So that we can start the ball rolling on his due process thing bago siya mapunish. Yes, judge lang ang pwede mag-issue ng warrant. Nobody else can. That's under our present constitution. The martial law of Ferdinand Marcos allowed certain other people to issue warrant. I think the president and some officials of the military and even the Department of Defense Secretary na si JPE, meron siyang power to issue those things. Can you still hear me? Meron pa ba tayong mic? Hello? Meron pa tayong mic? Meron pa. Okay. So, inaresto na siya. Anong gagawin ng police? Dadalhin yan siya sa medical legal, sa hospital. Ipa-check up mo na yan para makita na hindi siya ginulpi, hindi siya sinaktan, o kung may nasaktan man siya dahil nanlaban siya, tinamaan siya, ganyan, nabaril, dalhin niya siya sa hospital para mabigyan muna ng lunas. Kasi mahirap naman yung Nakipagbarilan siya nung tinamaan natin yung akusado, hindi na siya namatay. Dinala kagad sa kulungan doon at kinabukasan dinala sa korte. Doon siya namatay. Dahil hindi niya naman inalagaan yung tao. Di ba? But even then, if sa batas, kahit na yung tao ay kriminal na inaresto nyo, kailangan pa rin alagaan nyo yan. Hindi nyo pwedeng iwanan yan. Kriminal na yan, ha? Okay, kriminal na yan. Meron ng probable cause na nakita ang judge dyan para mag-issue ng warrant sa kanya. So medyo kalahating alam na natin talagang kriminal tong lintik na to, di ba? Eh, yung nasagasaan doon sa Mega Mall, hindi yung kriminal yun, guard yun eh, di ba? Wala naman siyang illegal na ginagawa, no? Binangga siya. Dapat nga, yun ay alagaan mo rin yung taong nabiktima mo. Because even those people, those criminals that the police arrest or ordered to arrest, meron ng obligasyon yung mga polis na yan na alagaan yan, idalhin sa ospital yan eh, para mabigyan ng lunas. Di ba? Yun pa kayang security guard na walang ginawa sa yung masama? Na aksidente mong nabangga, iniwanan mo, hindi mo inalagaan. So ngayon, meron ka na talagang problema na ito ngayon. Di ba? Si Attorney Trixie ay hindi na muna siya magpa-participate sa Luminous. Okay? Mag-request na siya no, magpa-repost sa atin ng ano-ano. Kasi nasa gobyerno na siya and it does not sound or it does not look good. Kung dalawa yung master niya, the master of you and the master of your government. Kami muna ang gagawa dito ng live at post. But Attorney Trixie is still here with us. She will not be seen in Luminous, but she will be seen in the many newspapers, many blog sites, many YouTube channels. That's better, di ba? Mas marami makakapanood sa kanya. Okay, so let's go back to this San Vicente dude. Masama ba yung nangyari nung nagawa niya? Oo, masama talaga yan. Masama. Masama talaga yan. Do we condone this guy? I suggest we don't. Di ba? We frown on what he did. We frown on the effect of what he did. Masama talaga yung ginawa niya. But, hindi dahil masama yung ginagawa niya, ay pwede na lang natin siyang arestohin na wala tayong probable cause. Kasi ang requirement ng probable cause doon, sa may warranted arrest, ay kailangan nga may personal knowledge yung mga pulis. Nakita nila to, nakita nila to, investiga sila, ganyan. Okay? Meron pa ba tayong audio? Meron pa naman daw. Lakas pa naman daw. Hindi ko pa naman. Okay. Yung hindi nakakarinig sa akin, there is a problem with your speaker. Alright, so, hindi natin yan pwedeng arestuhin ngayon. Kasi, nakalipas na yung, okay, doon na naman tayo sa warrantless arrest. Okay, when can you do a warrantless arrest? When can the police do a warrantless arrest? Sabi doon sa ating rules of court, sa, I think it's also in the Constitution, sinabi doon, you can arrest without a warrant in one instance. If the crime has been committed, has just been committed. So, there is a short amount of time that has passed from the commission of the crime and your arrival, itong mag-aaresto. Merong konting time na lumipas, okay, reasonable time na lumipas, bago dumating itong mag-aaresto at nakita niya anong nangyari. Okay? And the requirement there is that pagdating niya dyan, dapat nakita yung body of the crime. Yung body of the crime is not necessarily the body of the victim. But the body of the crime, meaning makikita mo na tingin mo, may krimen dito dahil pwedeng may body of the victim nga dyan, may dugo, mayroong trail ng gulong dyan sa kalsada, so that is the body of the crime in this case. Okay? So, requirement niya na has just been committed, kakagawa pa lang ng krimen, pwede mong arestuhin yung kung nandyan pa yung perpetrator. Is being committed, this is the second instance, is being committed in the presence of this arresting officer. Okay. Has just been committed, that's first. Is being committed, that's second. And third, is about to be committed. nakita pagdating niya, may nakita siyang tao na gagawa pa lang ng krimen, pwede niya nang hulihin yan. Kung malinaw sa kanya na, babaril niya nga itong tao na to, hulihin ko na siya. Pwede yun. Warrantless arrest yun. Okay? Warrantless arrest. So those are the three, one kind of warrantless arrest that would be composed of three ways to do it and three instances when it can be done. Okay. Another is hot pursuit. Okay, the second category is hot pursuit. Yung nakita mo, yung taong gumagawa ng krimen, pero kung nanakbo, habulin mo ngayon. Kaya nahabol mo na doon siya, pwede mo na siyang arrestuin kahit na malayo na doon sa scene of the crime. Okay, and that will be different from the first three instances kasi yung first three instances, the arresting officer, the guy being arrested is right there in the scene of the crime. Doon sa hot pursuit ay umalis itong perpetrator at pumunta elsewhere. Hahabulin mo ngayon and therefore hot pursuit. Hot pursuit. Habulin mo siya. Pagdating mo doon, hulihin mo, pwede mo pa rin, the effect would still be a warrantless arrest because hindi naman din nga talaga nawala yung personal knowledge. Kung nakita mo kakagawa lang niya ng krimen, nakbo, doon mo na arrest sa malayo na, hindi na doon sa scene of the crime. Okay? So it's almost the same. In flagrante delicto are those three, yung first three kinds na sinabi natin. In flagrante delicto, okay, in the heat of the commission of the crime. Yung ibig sabihin. Ano ba yung iba? The third basis or ground for a warrantless arrest is when you arrest an escaped convict. There is a convict that has already been convicted of a crime. It's already been made to serve his penalty at umiskabo. Di ba? Umiskabo. Okay, you can catch this guy without a warrant. Okay, but let's go back to dito sa kaso natin ito, si San Vicente. After what happened, wala namang police na present na nangyari doon, na nakakita, na dumating doon when the crime was just being committed or has just been committed. So, wala naman talagang police doon. The entire incident happened. Walang isang police na nandun. So, walang naka-witness, walang personal knowledge ng mga police para i-arresto siya without a warrant. Okay? So, what is left there? What is left for them? One is a voluntary surrender. So, surrender siya doon. Surrender itong si San Vicente doon, or arrest with a warrant. Kasi sobrang haba na ng panahon for them to say that warrantless arrest. Kasi ang requirement ng warrantless arrest has just been committed. Dumating ka doon, has just been committed, and reasonable time would be about 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours. Depende sa crime, depende sa lugar. Sorry. But definitely in this case, there is no reasonable time, or yung pagdating ng mga police, karoon sila ng knowledge dito sa nangyari, is no longer it's no longer considered as a reasonable time kasi ang tagal naman talaga nilang nalaman ito nangyari. But kung may tao na naka-witness nito, halimbawa, yung nag-video, because it was a dashcam, I think it was a dashcam. Hindi naman ako nag-UOC. Hindi ko naman sinisindihan. Sorry. May ako sa aircon sa malamig na kasi squatter lang talaga ako pagka malamig na hangin na hinihika ako. Anyway, huwag natin problemahin yan. Hindi talaga siya pwedeng arrestin without a warrant mga police kasi walang police doon. And no policeman who will arrest this guy was there. They don't have any personal knowledge of what happened. Ano pwede nilang gawin? One is for this guy to surrender. Voluntarily submit himself to the jurisdiction of the adjudicating body. The other one is to arrest him with a warrant. Okay? To arrest him with a warrant. But in this case, what happened is that he voluntarily surrendered. He voluntarily surrendered. Ano dapat ang gagawin ng mga pulis dyan? Sinabi ng mga pulis na hindi namin siya pwedeng ikulong. Hindi namin siya pwedeng ikulong kasi wala kaming warrant. That only applies to hinuli mo yung tao without a warrant, with a warrant. Pag hinuli mo yung isang tao, kailangan mo talagang ikulong yan hanggang sa pakawalan siya ng korte by means of bail. So, nung justification ng mga polis dito na hindi namin pwedeng ikulong yan dahil wala naman kaming kaso, ganyan-ganyan, medyo bumalabs. Kasi ang isang tao, pag sumurrender na, ang ibig sabihin niyan, he admitted that he did something that happened. And when that happens, there's no need for a probable cause that will be established by the prosecuting investigating prosecutor, yung tinatawag na preliminary investigation, para ma-filean siya ng kaso, para ma-issuean siya ng judge ng warrant at para siya maikulong. Kasi dito sa ginawa sa surrender, hindi man na kailangan i-prove na siya nga yung gumawa nun, di ba? There's probable cause to believe that a crime is committed, that this person committed this, and that therefore he should stand for trial. In a surrender, what happens? In a surrender, a guy admits that he did something that's probably a crime. That's already compliances to the requirement of what kind of probable cause is needed to issue a warrant. Diba? So, dalawa na yun. The third is that, therefore, he should stand trial and therefore, hindi mo pwedeng hindi ikulong yan. Kung sumurrender yan, ikulong mo. Diba? Because inamin niya na siya ang gumawa nung nangyari doon that we think is a crime. Diba? Hindi yung pwedeng magpalusot na sabihin wala kaming warrant. Walang warrant, hindi mo pwedeng ikulong kung inaresto mo. Hindi mo inaresto yan, sumurrender yan eh. Malinaw? Do you see the difference? There are two ways of getting jurisdiction over a person of the accused. The person, the body of the accused. First is by arrest. Second is by voluntary surrender. Okay? What do you do when you get jurisdiction over a person? You put him in prison and deliver him to the court when the schedule for his arraignment is set. Doon mo siya dadalhin sa korte. That is called arraignment. Because the arraignment is the formal and actual exercise of the court of its jurisdiction over the person of the accused and his case, okay, of the crime. So, wala na ngayong justification mga pulis na pakawalan yan. Kasi sumurrender yan. Hindi mo lang yan pwedeng ikulong kung inaresto mo yan but your arrest was illegal because you had no warrant or you had no probable cause in the case of warrantless arrest. But surrender yan eh. Hindi mo pwedeng gawing justification na walang warrant kasi hindi naman to warranted arrest. Hindi naman to arrest. This is surrender. Diba? Kukulong yan. When can a detained person accused of a crime be released from the custody of the police? In this case kasi, pag sumurrender, ikulong mo, i-inquest mo, i-file mo kagad sa korte ang kaso forthwith, without delay. Mabilis dapat para hindi natin maagrabyado yung taong yan kung inosente pala yan at kinulong natin matagal. So dapat mabilis. Kinulong siya. Anong kwento? Nakalabas pa siya? Nakalabas pa siya? Nakalabas yata. Ano ang reason yan? The only reason for me, in my opinion, is for the court to release him temporarily while the trial is being conducted on his case, and until he is found either guilty or not guilty, he will stay in detention. And the only one that gonna release this person from detention is the judge. Okay? And how is that done? It's by bail, di ba? Ang bail. And not even all crimes are would make the bail, right to bail available to the people. In this case, nag-file ba siya ng bail? Mukhang malamang hindi kasi ang court, wala pang korte. Wala pang korte dito, di ba? Walang korte na nag-issue ng warrant. Walang korte na nag-arrange sa kanya, tinanong sa kanya, how do you plead? Guilty or not guilty? Wala pang ganun. So, what is now the ground for the release of this kid? Mukhang wala. Mukhang wala. No? So, what's going on here? Sumurrender yung tao, ang bata. Hindi naman bata to eh. I think he's age of majority na, di ba? More than 18 na itong batang. Ilang taon na ba siya? I'm not sure kung ilang taon na siya. Let's see. Wala na yung mouse ko. Well, anybody knows kung ilang taon na siya? Anyway, kung sabihin natin age of majority na siya. 34 years old. 34 years old. Takot yung anak ko dahil mabait naman siya. 34 years old na yung anak mo. Mami naman. Pinagloloko mo kami eh. Ever. Okay? 34 years old na siya. Wait. Nasaan yung mukha ko? Ayusin muna natin yung camera. Biglang nawala. Yan. Meron na ulit. Okay, I'm sorry kung anong nangyari dun sa camera niya. Okay. What do we do? Yan. Ibang camera na to. Anong nangyari dun sa camera na yan? Are you still there? Hello? Are you still there, guys? Are you still there? Nandiyan pa rin. Okay. Let's continue quickly. Hindi pwedeng hindi siya ikulong kasi he was not arrested. He surrendered. And the only way to release a person who has been whose jurisdiction has already been achieved by the authorities ay pamamagitan ng bail. And that can only be approved by a judge sa korte. Eh, wala pang kaso nito na na-file, so kailangan nakadetain yan. Yan yung ating stand dyan. Alright. What's next? Um, anong susunod dyan is dapat i-inquest siya para malaman kung meron ba talagang krimen doon sa nangyari, there's enough evidence to prosecute him and therefore make him stand in court. Okay? Huwag ka na magulo dyan. Sino, malamang ang init-init dito. Kung ano yung nasabi mo dyan, ha? Teka, ha? Ayusin natin to. Sandali. Oh, wala na tuloy. Ano yung snap? Ano to? What's this? What is this snap thing? What's this? Hindi naman yan yung camera. Ito. Yan. Huwag na kayong umarte kasi dyan. Ang arte-arte ng what the hell? Explain nga ako dito eh. Explain. Okay. Anong dapat mangyari dyan? Dapat inquest siya. Ano yung purpose ng inquest? Inquest is to determine if there is probable cause to hold this person for trial. Okay, dapat ma-convince yung prosecution ng prosecuting investigating fiscal kung meron bang ebidensya na magagamit para makasuhan na rin itong si Ulufeng, di ba? And therefore, dadaling yan siya doon, investigate si inquest ang tawag dyan. Kung sino yung mga nang-aaral na arresto sa inyo dyan, eh, alam nyo na kung ano nangyayari din sa inquest, di ba? Inquest. Okay, so pagkatapos ng inquest, ipa-file na yan sa korte. Okay? At uusad na yan, and the first thing that the court will do is to arraign this person. So ito na yung araw na i-deliver ng police yung tao sa korte for the court to exercise jurisdiction sa kanya. For the court to exercise jurisdiction sa kanya and hold him up for trial. Dito ba? Anong nangyari? Walang inquest na nangyari kasi hindi naman nila dinitain itong taong to. So, ang gagawin siguro nila ay magpo-file sila ng preliminary investigation. Okay. They will file a complaint for a preliminary investigation, hindi inquest. Ang inquest, preliminary investigation din ang tawag doon. General term yun. It's called the preliminary investigation proper. Okay. Yung isa is preliminary inquiry. Yun yung probable cause for the issuance of a warrant by a judge. Yung preliminary investigation proper, yun yung finding of probable cause for holding a person for trial. Dalawa yung probable cause for arrest, for warrant to arrest. The second is probable cause for holding this dude in trial. Okay? So dahil nahuli na siya, there is no longer a need for a preliminary inquiry for the issuance of a warrant. Kasi surrender siya dapat, diba? Preliminary investigation proper to determine if there's probable cause to hold him in custody and make him stand for trial. Dapat yung mangyari. So, mangyayari ngayon nito, and what we expect is that may magpa-file ng preliminary investigation para alamin ng prosecutor kung meron bang enough evidence to go to trial against this guy. Where does amicable settlement enter? Okay, and when does it enter? Well, it can enter even before the filing of any case. Before the court or before the fiscal. Sa piskalya. Pwede na yan sila magkasundo dyan. Pwede na sila magkasundo, bayaran na lang, ganyan-ganyan, at hindi na habla. But, ano ba ang epekto ng amicable settlement? Ang epekto ng amicable settlement is just to take care of the civil part, okay, the civil part of the crime or of the entire case. Kasi dalawa yung nangyari dito sa incident na to, dalawang violations na nangyari. One is the civil part is the violation of your obligation to keep this person safe and ganito ganyan and taking care of him. At ang penalty dyan ay bayad pera, damages. Okay? Walang kulong dyan. Ang kulong, okay, the other side of this entire thing is the violation of the penal laws. Okay? The violation of the criminal laws of the Philippines, of the Republic of the Philippines. Ang kalaban mo dyan ay ang gobyerno, ang people of the Philippines, tayong lahat ang kalaban dyan. Nung binayaran niya yung gwardiya, sinettle niya yung amicable settlement sila, yun yung civil part lang ng obligation niya ang na-satisfy niya. Maaaring hindi na siya kakasuhan ng civil case. Pero masasabi ba natin na hindi na siya pwedeng kasuhan ng criminal case dahil binayaran na yung guard? Hindi. Bakit? Kasi hindi naman yung state ang nasatisfy nung nabayad siya. Hindi yung state ang nasatisfy nung nabayad siya. And the complainant in the criminal case is the state. Tayo, people of the Philippines. Kaya nga, people of the Philippines tawag yan. People of the Philippines versus Ron Jeremy. Yan. Yung people of the Philippines, if you want to settle a case, you only settle the civil part against your victim. But against the state, kung na-violate ka ng criminal laws, you cannot pay that. That is not susceptible of amicable settlement. Okay. Why does a case end up being dismissed when the parties have amicably settled? It's not because the accused paid money to the victim. That's not the reason why it is dismissed. The reason there is pag binayaran mo na yung biktima mo, which only takes care of the civil aspect of the case, eh, tutuloy pa rin yung criminal case. But yung binayaran mo, usually, is the only witness in the case. Which means na kung hindi na magtitestigo yan kasi binayaran na yan, madidismiss yung kaso mo. And that is the reason why it is dismissed when it is settled. But it is not dismissed just because he paid this guy in a settlement. No. The reason is wala na ang testigo. Kasi hindi na nga magtestigo yan. Binayaran na yan. Wala na magagawa yung korte. Kung merong ibang testigo, that's another question. That's a different matter. Kasi magtutuloy-tuloy pa rin yan kahit na ayaw na magtestigo ng kanyang biktima dahil meron pang ibang testigo. At hindi naman niya biktima yan, so hindi niya pwedeng bayaran yun. Di ba? But in this case, kung masipag yung mga polis natin, makahanap ng ibang testigo, makausap nila yung tao na nag-dashcam, ganyan-ganyan, you have another witness. At hindi naman yun pwedeng bayaran ng akusado kasi wala namang silang relasyon. I mean, hindi naman niya biktima yan. You can only amicably settle with your victim, not with a person who happens to have a camera and took a footage of what happened to you. So kung mahanap nila yung taong may-ari na nag-post ng ng video, pwedeng siya yung testigo doon. Now, you're asking me, can a footage of that dash camera be used as evidence? Yes, it can. But can it be a witness? No, it can't. Because a witness is a human being. That is the rule. A witness is any person who has a possession of all his senses, sight, taste, smell, and perceives these things, and having perceived them, reports them in court in answer to certain questions of the court or the lawyers. In other words, kailangan tao yung testigo. So, maaaring pwedeng gamitin natin yung ebidensya, yung footage ng CCTV camera or dashcam. But without a witness, hindi yan siya pwedeng ma-present sa kaso sa korte. somebody has to talk about it. Somebody has to talk about it to say, this is an actual footage taken by this camera that I own on this date, at this time, and that is the guy that this camera captured, and he is the same guy. Kasi without that person to testify, this evidence is useless. Okay? So, hindi ho useless yung footage. Agad-agad. Magagamit yan kung magagamit. Pero kailangan may magsalita. May magsalita. Okay? Dapat may magsalita kasi hindi nagsasalita ang footage. Kasi it's not, ang ebidensya kasi hindi lang, ang aalamin ng korte about the evidence is not only the evidence itself. There is also other things about the evidence, in this case, an object evidence, that the court also needs to verify and know. Like, was it validly taken? Was it not a violation of privacy? So somebody has to answer, no, Your Honor, it was not a violation of privacy. But without that person to say these things, that evidence is useless because it cannot talk. Right? So, yan yung nangyayari dyan. Hindi naman sayang yung footage na yan. But hindi rin yan magagamit sa korte against this guy kung walang magsasalita about it. Okay? At ang pwede lang magsalita about it ay yung taong kumuha. Kaya may-ari ng camera na yan. Pinapa-drug test ni Senator Soto. Pinapa-drug test ni Senator Soto. Yung drug testing, I think, in general, is not compulsory. Why? Well, my argument is that you have the right to an integral body. Your body is yours, okay? And there is a kind of violation of your integrity of your body na mangyayari pagka pinilit kang umihi dyan para i-drug test. Okay? But it's a subject to argument. Pero para sa rules kasi, parang it's not necessary na i-drug test mo yung tao to prove that he is an addict. Because there are other ways of finding that out. Okay? But if you can't prove that he's an addict, he committed the crime anyway. I mean, kailangan mo pa bang i-drug test them to know that he committed the crime? He admitted it, he surrendered. Diba? So, drug testing is talking about this drug testing is useless talk. It's useless talk. It's no relation with the incident. I mean, it doesn't matter kung nakadrug siya on David. He rolled over the guy. Diba? So, yung drug test na yun, puro kalokohan yan. You can't even do that compulsorily on people. Diba? So, what matters is that the police already had this guy in custody, but they did not arrest him. They did not detain him. Okay? He doesn't need to be arrested because he surrendered. And if you surrender, you are not arrested. You are taken into detention. You are taken into custody and detained. You are not arrested. Arrest is something else. That is physically taking this person to ganyan-ganyan without his consent. But on the authority of either a warrant or a probable cause in a case of a warrantless search, a warrantless arrest. But he should have been detained. That is our stand there. So let's wait for what happens. Let's wait na what happens dito. Pero yung mga story na nabayaran yung police, yung ganito, ganyan, that's conjecture, hindi natin alam yan. We have no evidence na binayaran itong police o nagkabayaran dyan. Hindi eh. We have no proof of to say that. Ang pwede lang natin sabihin is that their decision in not detaining this guy is most likely wrong. It's against the law. And the reason na wala silang warrant is wrong also because they did not need a warrant because they did not arrest him. He surrendered. He surrendered. So, what needs to be done, kailangan nilang ma-realize yung kanilang mali and correct it. In any case, kung nagsettle yung security guards silang dalawa, hindi ibig sabihin na wala ng kaso. Wala na yung civil liability. Pero meron pa rin criminal liability after trial. Ma-prove na siya nga yung gumawa nun. Nanakbo siya and all that. He should be penalized for it and therefore serve sentence. Okay, but only after the case has been held for him as trial, di ba? Okay, what's going on then from now on? We will wait. Okay, we will wait. Kasi kung yung guard, na siya lang naman ang biktima dito, pwede siyang tumanggap ng pera at mag-settle it that this is right. But it is not his right to say that the crime was no longer committed or forgiven just because he received money from this guy as form of settlement. Hindi. Because the only body that can condone a crime is the state itself when the state exercises its right to pardon people, to pardon criminals. The security guard does not have the power to do that. The police does not have the power to do that. Diba? The police doesn't have the power to do that. The security guard, after taking money, does not have the power to do that. Right? So, yan yung natutunan natin ngayong gabi. I cannot tell you how this will end or how it will continue, but that is what we know. And all of this talk na nabayaran na, huwag natin gawin yan. We don't really know that. We didn't see anyone giving the police money and all that stuff. And it's really bad to assume these things because alam natin na maraming ginagawa ang mga ibang polis dyan na katarantaduhan, but hindi silang lahat gumagawa niyan. At lalo nang hindi natin pwedeng sabihin na ginagawa nila when we have no evidence that they are doing that. It's unfair. It's unfair for the cops. Many of them are assholes, but we can only be sure that they are assholes if we have proof that they are. And therefore, let's be fair to the cops. Although, in my opinion, they committed a really big mistake by not detaining him, this San Vicente guy. Right? But there's also a small matter of, ito palang tatay ni San Vicente ay involved din sa pamamaril ng tao noong 1995, I think. But he was already acquitted from the case. But, di ba, kayo na lang mag-isip. Pero pat nito, dahil sabi niya, ninanakawan daw siya ng isang Wong guy. Habang katapos na mag-withdraw sa ATM, hold upin daw siya. So, binaril niya, namatay. Ngayon, takbo siya. Takbo siya, pero I think nahuli siya or nasumurrender siya or basta nakasuhan siya, but the court dismissed the case kasi hindi masyado na-prove yung kaso. Kasi namatay na nga naman talaga yung biktima, di ba? So, paano mo justify kung ano nangyari dyan? So, these are the things that happen in a case. It's not that easy na may testigong ganyan-ganyan. Meron minsan, pag nakasuhan na, wala nang sumisipot na testigo, napapagod na, natatakot, o tinatamad. Diba? So, there are many things that affect a case. And it's not very easy it should not be very easy for us to condemn the cops or to condemn the victim or even the accused. Because the accused is innocent until he is proven guilty by the competent court. So, kahit na nakita natin na siya yung nangyari nun, there is so much to be proven by the prosecution. And first, sinadya niya ba yan? Second, was he in possession of his mental capacities when this happened? Pwede naman kasing bigla nang pinasukan ng alien niya sa katawan and then hindi na niya alam na nagawa niya. Who knows? So long as it can be proven, then di ba, he can be innocent. So, let's just keep our condemnation in social media and all that stuff, but let's limit it to indignation, galit. But let's not condemn them completely, the police or the accused or the security guard for making drama and stuff like that, because we don't know yet. Okay, and what is important here is that nobody died. And we keep it that way, that nobody else dies because of this thing. Right? And that's important because protection of life and the protection of property and the protection of freedom is what the Constitution provides for us. For each one of us, even those who are standing trial for cases like criminals. right? Even for those people, and even for those who are already convicted and serving their penalties, the state still cares about these people because that is important. That is important to our constitution, to our system of government, that life is taken care of. Na hindi mawala. Walang mawawala ng buhay na unnecessary. Okay? Na kahit na masama yan, he still has the right to live. Alright? So, yan ang importante na walang namatay dito, merong gumawa ng masama, meron siguro dapat ikulong or ma-punish, magbayad, at matuto sa nangyari. But we limit our condemnation sa social sphere, no? Social media and all that. But let's not completely condemn these people to hell because we are all sinners. Uh, di ba? Hindi natin alam, in the future, tayo naman din ang makagawa ng ganyan, no, na aksidente. Tayo din ang ipupundon and then we will feel how hard it is to be on that part of on that side of condemnation. So, ang estado nga nagpapatawad after makulong, makawala na yung tao because he has already served his penalty, pinakawala niya na tayo reintegrated to the society, forgiven, given a chance, di ba? Wala na tayong death penalty. So let's also give that. Galit tayo ngayon, yes, that's justified. And we can condemn him socially, what you did is wrong, you are not careful, and you run away from your obligation under the law. But no, let's not hate. Let's not hate for the sake of hating. Life is important. Every person is important. Not just us. Not just us. Everyone is given his due by our constitution, by our laws, by whoever God you have. And we should respect that in ourselves and other people. That's what is important there. Okay? So, rest assured that we will be monitoring this case and we will not give up until some kind of rationality is visiting on this thing. That we will all understand how this ends or how it happens and develops. That there is always an explanation that is rational and just. Okay? After all, what we need here is for justice to happen. And justice is not only sending a person to jail. Sometimes it can be something else. It doesn't even have to be coming from the courts. All right. So let's take that to sleep tonight and think about that because we can only condemn as much as our own limitations would permit us. Okay, and remember that we should always take care of each other, no matter what, and live to the society and to the good sense of everyone in this world to find justice for whatever happens to us. All right. Thank you for watching my first live and palpak na wala ng camera and all that stuff, but you're still here. Thank you very much. Thank you for those who made comments and whatever and said hi. Thank you very much. And I hope you like and share this video. You go subscribe sa YouTube natin and follow dun sa ating Facebook and spread the news that I have arrived. Awesome is already here. Hi to Attorney Trixie and Attorney sino ba? Nagpa-party ngayon. Si Attorney Cañete, Darwin. Sila yata yung nagpa-party ngayon doon. Hi sa inyong lahat dyan sa party. And hi to everyone on YouTube and Facebook watching Luminous Live tonight. Let's do this again. Maybe about the same stuff or maybe about different stuff. But you are stuck with me for a while. For a while means about 6 years. I hope you don't feel bored and stuff. But even if you're bored, tell me. Let's do a live when you're being bored. Right? Let's stop this now so I can start smoking my cigarette. Goodbye and everyone and good night. I'll see you again on Luminous Live. Bye. So, si JP, papuntahin natin dito. Alright, bye-bye now. Huwag nyo na akong pasabin. Alis na ako. Magsusundo pa ako. Okay? Bye! Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.